Hi.
Hello, sir. So my question is, what is one thing you like here? And what do you expect our children should be focusing on?
Well, I like the fact that we are getting an opportunity to interact with young minds, right? I think that's the main thing. That's the only reason I've committed myself here for good 20, 21 months, right? Um, but I am liking the fact that in the last few months, the children have started engaging in it. And I know it's heavy content, but you see, why shy from heavy content just because you think it's heavy? I mean, even quantum physics is very heavy, right? But yet we teach it, right? So why shy from this fact of cultural, spiritual heaviness? Why shy from it? You don't know the child's mind, where it gravitates and where it actually evolves. So planting the seeds is very important. What I was initially a bit lost was, am I talking to myself because I was not getting that engagement coming in from the children, right? But we've stuck on, and I'm seeing as the children change, the languages change, we adapted from English to Hindi. I'm very pleased that now the kids ask questions, and there's nothing wrong or nothing a stupid question. I mean, they're asking very intelligent questions, and that allows us to actually probe into their mind that these are bright minds. Given an opportunity, they think better than adults, right? Who are already conditioned. So that's what I like. Yeah.
Good morning,
So,
Jugjiv, sir.
Amardeep,
Over to you.
yeah. So, Amardeep, my sort of sense of interacting with kids these days is that they're busier than we were when we were in school,
Yeah.
True.
you know. And the other day I was just thinking, we had rest hour. And, the biggest value I see looking back on rest hour was it allowed you the opportunity to get bored, right? You were stuck to your bed. And so either there was chit chat happening or forced you to think or forced you to read, forced you to reflect. Uh, Kids today are just running, 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 running. So that's the big change. And the pressures are so much more versus what they used to be earlier. So, and in that situation, typically what happens is you just take what somebody tells you as read. You're not thinking that much for yourself. That's what I see happening. So I think it is really heavy stuff to digest. Even I have, I'm also sort of thinking about what you're saying, and it is heavy stuff to digest because your mind is not conditioned to this. And obviously, for me, it's much more difficult versus the kids. But it is heavy stuff, and it's difficult to digest because it goes against what people are telling you, what you see around, right? Devyanshu asked a lovely question, I think a few sessions ago, that, you say you should be this, you should do good and righteous action, but I don't see it around me, you know. So, uh, the, but I mean, it was a very courageous question and a great question to ask, you know, uh, because it shows that, okay, at least he's thinking about implementing and saying, okay, now how will this work? So yeah, I think that's my 2 cents worth on the subject. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess folks will start. We have Sunbeam, Sun City, and a couple of folks there. So let's start in the interest of time. Okay, so they're recording it, whatever. We'll start. Okay. So just before we start, Amardeep, how do you want to do this? You want to break it in the middle? You want to go one shot? What do you want?
I think we can go in one shot. I'll leave probably take five messages and let everyone see it, and then we'll take the questions at the end.
Okay, fine. So let me just start now. Let me introduce Amardeep. Amardeep, firstly, as you said, you've been around for a few months now, starting to enjoy this more because of the more greater interaction. So I'm glad that that's happening. And just to introduce Amardeep to the folks who don't know, Amardeep is a visual ethnographic researcher. He started off, engineer, MBA, standard corporate job, finance space. He worked for American Express, taking care of revenue management across Asia. And then after 25 years of doing all this, he changed tracks and he has written a couple of books on our lost heritage. Uh, and then he has made these docu-series of Guru Nanak's travels. He's currently working on another project on the Indic saints. Uh, he is very, very passionate about what he does. We've had some great conversations with him around how to create your own passion. We've had good conversations with him around how to make these video series, right? So if you have questions even around those areas, I think we'd be happy to, Amardeep will be happy to answer those. Uh, one thing that Amardeep is very passionate about is Guru Nanak stands for oneness. Let's not box him into a religion. And so with that, Amardeep, I will hand it over to you.
All right. I'm seeing a lot of things flying around the screen, right? Someone laughing.
So now that
we need to disable those, right? So
yeah, I mean, I suggested to whoever this is that they're wasting their time here because if they're bored, then they should go and do something else. I don't know why they're here, but anyway.
Anyhow, maybe Manisha can disable those emojis, right? Okay, episode 21. This is, I think, about 45 or 50 minutes. I don't remember, but
49.
49. Okay. It's the last episode, episode 20th. We ended at the Hinglaj Shakti Peeth in Balochistan, and from there we showed a boat leaving, which is now in Pakistan, right? A boat leaving for the Middle East. Now, this particular episode will start from Nanak and Bhai Mardana having now landed in Saudi Arabia, and now going to this entire episode, and the next one is his journey through the Islamic world. So Nanak is all throughout his life engaging with people of different spiritual traditions. And I'm not using the word religion here, though the common mind will think that he's engaging with people of different religions. No, he's not concerned with religion per se. He's concerned with the message of righteousness that he can seek and impart from interaction with the custodians of the so-called spiritualism, right? Because they are the ones who are trying to actually promote faiths, but actually at the underlying level, it's spirituality, right? So he now enters. In that time, in the Indian subcontinent, there was the Indic traditions, which is the Hindu societies, different cultures. I don't see Hindu as a Hinduism as we are defining today, because it's various punths and various thoughts that amalgamate. It's a plurality, different thoughts that come in together and live together. That's what the spiritual traditions of the lands of Indian subcontinent was, which covered Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Tibet, and as well as Pakistan and parts of Afghanistan at the time of Nanak. And then there was the incoming Islamic monotheistic religion coming in from the Central Asia. And these were creating a potpourri, right? So these are the two thoughts. So for Nanak, having engaged in the various odysseys with people of diverse traditions, it was important that he now visits the places of Islamic tradition, right? And so he lands in Saudi, and he goes to the Mecca, which is the most important place of the Islamic tradition. In his narrative, it goes that which is the most commonly talked about narrative, is that uh, he was received by, of course, even at that time, the narratives actually, even that time, they say that, getting inside Mecca and Medina was filled with certain challenges, which means this so-called, like if you go as a non-Muslim into Mecca and Medina today, you will be barred. I mean, they've recently opened up entry into the city of Medina, but you still can't enter Medina. You still, as a non-Muslim, cannot enter Mecca. Now, this is something not new. It has been hardened in the recent times when the Saudi Arabia government has created the regulations even tighter. But this non-Islamic faith entering Mecca or Medina was even an issue at the time of Nanak, which is 550 years back, because his narratives are writing about that. And so he does manage somehow to get inside. Now, it's interesting. I mean, things would not have been so tight at that time. But yeah, I mean, people, if they question you, then they will question you how you look and based on that. So he does go inside with Bhai Mardana, who's his Muslim companion, who was the Rabab player traveling with him. And as he's lying down, the normal narrative goes is that the most famous narrative goes is that uh, the Qazi comes to him and says that your feet are pointing towards Kaaba and you are therefore disrespecting God. And Nanak's most profound statement there is that move my feet in whichever direction you think the divinity does not reside. A very profound statement. Now, these kind of narratives, whether they're allegoric, they're metaphoric, or they have a deeper meaning, or they have been layered later, I am not getting into that. Because Nanak is all about his messages, right? His words that he's writing. But having said that, this story tells us is that what he's giving is a profound message that he has said all throughout his life is that divinity and oneness lies everywhere, right? Even in the Indian tradition, when we think about it, the word Hari, we say Hari Bhagwan hai, Bhagwan ka naam Hari hai, right? What does Hari metaphorically mean? As a Rupak, what does it mean? It comes from the root word Har. Har can have two meanings, green, or it can have everywhere. Hari as a name for God, it means an energy that is lying everywhere. That's what Hari is, right? So Nanak is giving the same message that move my feet wherever you want to, where the divinity is not residing, right? And then he has some dialogues out there, and I will let you listen to those dialogues. But one profound message that he leaves thereafter is that, he talks about certain rituals and he's giving this thing, Nanak is all against rituals, right? Unfortunately, he's boxed into a faith right now, and we ourselves follow rituals. That's the most ironic thing that's happened to his philosophy, right? But having said that, besides the point, his message out there, even in, like he has said this in Varanasi, he said this in Jagannath, he said this in many other places, and now in the Islamic world at the Mecca, which is the main place of the Islamic world, and he gives this message out there to the Qazi, make compassion as a mosque. So he's talking about human traits, compassion as your mosque, where you actually have visiting daily. Make compassion something that you have to actually visit daily. Trust, like you are spreading a prayer mat. It's the whole process of ritual of going to a mosque and doing your prayers. He's breaking it down. Mosque is the compassion. Spreading a prayer mat is the trust, right? Righteous actions are the teachings from the Quranic scripture. The Muslims follow the process of circumcision, right? For male children. He says, imbibe modesty as circumcision, right? And they also follow fasting. I mean, even in our Indian traditions, many people follow fasting. I mean, I don't think medically he's against fasting, but when you take that medical process into a religious domain and think that's going to be a path for you to finding divinity, I think that's where he's questioning it, right? It's fine from a medical perspective, from a health perspective, he has no issues on that. But you have to be clear, it's not a way to your divinity achievement, right? Or your spiritual achievement. So he's saying that savor pure intentions. Your purity in your mind is the fasting that you have to do from evil thoughts or evil webs that you create. And this is the message he leaves there and he says, let your positive deeds be the Kaaba. The Kaaba, the Makkah's Kaaba, around which everyone goes round and round in circles. He says, go round and round in circles in your life around positive deeds, right? That's the message he leaves as he leaves from here, from Mecca. Then you'll find him going to Medina. I'll let you see that. I'm just leaving 2, 3 important messages here. As you see that, and rest you'll find in the episode. He then enters Iraq, right? And in Iraq, I'll touch 2 places. He goes to Najaf. Najaf is a very important Shiite shrine because in Islam you have the Sunnis and the Shias as the main groups. So the Shiite shrine in Najaf is where Imam Ali, who's the son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, he was martyred here, and what you will see is a reflection of us based on Guru Nanak's words. Islamic tradition is, which he's written separately. It's not that he said this out here, but it's written it separately. So in the Shia tradition, what happens is at Najaf, you'll find a shot that we've shown here of the world's largest graveyard. Every Shia aspires to be buried in Najaf, right? And this graveyard is a multi-layered graveyard, and you'll see a drone shot of it, and you will go, wow. I mean, look at the amount of graves that are here, and people are still wanting to actually get buried here in layers and layers. It's only because they want to be close to the burial place of Imam Ali, right? And the reflection that we have out here based on Nanak's verse is a very profound reflection. See, Nanak is all about rejecting rituals, right? So basically, as Sikhs or Hindus or as Muslims, we have our own rights of either burying the body after we die or burning the body. Actually, Nanak gives very profound, Nanak and Kabir give very profound messages. It's your life that matters. What happens to your body, which will decompose into the 5 elements, earth, fire, water, and ether, and it'll go back into those basic elements, the 5 elements. And it really doesn't matter. Your actions is while you're alive is all that matters, right? People will remember you not for your body, but for your actions, right? And so he gives a profound message out here. He doesn't give it, but we are reflecting about it. It's one of the profound messages in which he says, Mitti Musalman ki pede pai kumyar, kadapande itta kiya jaldi kar puka. What he says is that, you see, whether you bury or you burn, it is inconsequential, right? After a person has died. What he's saying is, let's take the process, even let's say you're burying it and you think burying is better than burning. He says, okay, in the burying process also, a potter who makes kumhar, who makes pots, utensils out of mud, is always looking for the chikni mitti, the most suitable mitti with which you can make utensils, right? And the best chikni mitti is always available where animal remains are mixed and have decayed into the mud, right, over the years, right, over the centuries. And so therefore graveyards are a great place where human bodies decompose and the mitti becomes very chikni out there, right? So that is best for actually making utensils. And similarly, places where animals have decayed and so on and so forth. So he says a potter will look for that kind of a mud after centuries and will take out and make a utensil. And ultimately, he'll put it inside a kiln, a oven, भट्टी के अंदर में बना के डालेगा जिसको वो पकाएगा. So ultimately, it doesn't matter whether you, in your mind, whether you're burying or you're burning, it's immaterial, right? So that's the profound message we reflect on based on Nanak's word at the Najaf site. From there, we enter Iraq. We enter Iraq in Baghdad. In Baghdad, there is a very important shrine of one of the sects in the Islamic world, which is the Qadri sect. And the Qadri sect are the followers of a leader from a very historic leader from Baghdad, who goes by the name of Pir Mohiuddin Abdul Qadri Jilani, right? And he has a large followership in India, Bangladesh, and as well as Afghanistan and Pakistan. The Qadri sect is huge out here. So he used to be known as Pir Dastagir, right? Now, Guru Nanak goes to his mausoleum. He was not there at that time. His descendants who were managing the shrine were there. And Pir Abdul Rahman was there. And he has some dialogues with them out there. Now, in that dialogue, you'll find there's a very profound message that he's leaving out there about there is this war between the Hindu and the Vedic tradition and the Islamic tradition about what is the definition of universe, right? Now he says, Patala Patal Lak Agasa Agas. He says there are countless regions or universes that are there, which science is proving right now. I mean, there's not one Earth, there's not one universe. There's countless of galaxies. You can't count them. There's countless. The Vedas are saying that they're countless. The Islamic scriptures are saying there is a finite number of 18,000, right? What he leaves as in this verse is Asalu Iktat. In reality, there is only one element. And that one element is the baseline of the energy from which everything is emerging. So Nanak is a proponent of what he's saying is whether you are a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or a Sikh or whoever you are, or you're an animal or you're a tree, whatever you are, you're coming or you're manifesting for a period of time from that baseline energy, which we can't see. You see, if anyone, as the kids out here who get into physics and you study quantum mechanics, in today's world, you'll understand the scientists are proving that we come from nothing. The entire creation comes from nothing, from a big bang black hole, and it subsides into that big black hole. Mind cannot comprehend this, that how can something come out from nothing? But that's what he's saying. At the baseline, there is Aslu Ikdat. There's only one energy which is there, non-comprehensible energy from which we all are coming in. And once we understand that aspect, then the differences between you and me finishes off. The differences between our religions finish off. Differences between our nations finish off. Differences between the animal kingdom and the human kingdom, or the animal kingdom and plant kingdom, or the plant kingdom and the human kingdom, everything finishes off because we are just a play in a moment of time out here for a few years, as human life, 70 years or 80 years. We came with nothing, we will take nothing. We came from that energy with nothing. We'll go back in that energy. For 70, 80 years, we are living with just chest beating of our egos, our feelings of nations, our feelings of religion, and our feelings of whatever we want, right? Superiority, but that's all we are living in. But so he's giving that profound message out there. Then you will find the last piece I'll leave out here as a message is that he goes to Iran, right? And that's where this episode will end. One is that you'll find the beauty in his verses. And I know as kids, you may not be able to understand this. And even some of us as adults do not understand this because boundaries, geographies evolve. We are living in a world which is where the boundaries, geopolitical boundaries create nations, and in those nations, languages can't flow, cultures can't flow, and things break down. But our forefathers were very well versed with diverse languages because there was no boundaries. And you know, the Iranian language, the Persian language, was very well spoken in many parts of the Indian subcontinent, right? And Nanak has written many verses in his shabads in which he's also using the words from diverse places, and some of them are Iranian words, right? So that goes to show how intellectually capable our forefathers and spiritual leaders were at that time, that they just did not even have the full understanding of reality, but also of cultural and religious aspects of it. Now, anyhow, in Iran, the last piece is at Mashhad, where there's a very famous shrine of one of the Shia leaders. It's known as the shrine of Imam Raza. And we go to that Imam Raza shrine, where Nanak is said to have met with some people and from Afghanistan, and he has a dialogue with them. And the dialogue is around the five prayers, and this is something that I will talk about. This is something, if Nanak was to come back in today's world, maybe the even our community people, he will say the same question, right? And he will say it to all the others, because you see, we are into rituals of our lip service, prayers, protocols, and other things. And Nanak is giving a very profound message out here, because in the Islamic community, you have five prayers, five namaz, right? And in our communities also, we say, ye falani prayer karo, falana karo, you follow this protocol. But what Nanak is saying is that taking those five prayers or five namaz, he's saying that the five essence of your prayers has to be truthfulness, piety, unity, humility, and contemplation. If you can focus on these five things, this should be your prayer, actually, to live a beautiful and a meaningful life, right? So I'll stop there, and we can either take a few questions now if there's some people want, or we can start the episode and take it at the end, whichever way you want, Jugjiv.
Let's do it at the end. Let's see the episode.
Okay. If someone has a compelling question, because I've
Yeah,
said,
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
you may ask. If someone has a compelling question, I can take it now. Otherwise, after the episode will be there, because sometimes these thoughts, trigger some questions, right?
Yeah, sure.
Anyone has any compelling question? I mean, if you want to say it right now, raise your hand, or we can start with the episode.
Or
Manisha.
from last time. We had a lot of dialogue last time as well. Folks for that.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, Manisha, just start the episode.
Yes, sir, just 1 minute.
We have a couple of hands up. Anjali,
Go ahead.
Divyanshu is back again.
Give them an opportunity to ask right now itself, because there's a lot that has
Yeah,
been talked
sure.
about.
Sakshi.
The kids, they might forget these things that we've left here. Go ahead. Why don't we stop these emojis coming in?
I don't know. There has to be a way to do it. I mean,
Sir, I feel that since we have given them the option to raise hand, so these emojis are all connected.
Okay. So anyhow, so now any question
no.
that is there?
There were a couple of people who raised their hands, Manisha, so you can unmute them.
Yes, sir, 1 minute.
Yeah, I know. Asking you to do too many things at the same time. I think there was Anjali, then there was Sakshi. Divyanshu. Yeah, Anjali, go ahead.
Manisha, started from 2.15 minutes. Skip the beginning, huh? Just start from 2.15 when you started, okay?
Anjali, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Anjali. I'm here.
What is the meaning of
Sorry, we lost you. What is
Anjali?
the meaning of?
profound?
Deep. I answered it in the chat, Anjali. Deep. Like a deep thinker, profound thought means deep.
A deep thought, something that makes you think about what we see at most of the times when we are dealing in the world, we're dealing at a very superficial, very high level. We are not getting the depth of things, right? But when you get into depth of the thought process, that's profound. You learn something. Oh wow, I never thought about it that way, right? That's profound.
Thank
Okay, if there's nothing, then let's start then.
you.
Is the sound coming?
No.
No.
Manisha, I'll play it from here if you are struggling with it. You're on
What
the.
is
Okay, sir.
1 second, hold on. Okay, let me just first get the screen on.
It started to come, Manisha. Just try it
Okay,
again.
I'm going to do it now. Okay,
Okay.
share screen. Uh, can you hear it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on. Tell me if you are able to. Are you seeing these your boxes at the end? Are you just seeing the entire screen of the only the this thing? Or are you seeing us also?
No, only the
Okay. All right, I'm starting it now.
yeah. Just make it full screen at your end also.
It's full screen.
Okay.
Are you able to see full screen?
Oh, I have to do some. Let me do something at my end. Yeah, it's fine.
गुरु नानक की गहरी विनम्रता का एहसास उनके शब्दों में जाहिर होता है। उन्होंने अपने आप को नीचे रखा है और सृजनहार की सृजना और गुणों की प्रशंसा की है। इसके उल्ट जब मैं अपने अंदर नजर डालता हूँ तो मुझ में अपनी शख्सियत को ज्यादा बढ़ाने और दूसरों के अवगुणों पर उंगली रखने का रुझान ज्यादा है। गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना ने सोमियानी से अल अस्वाद, मक्का, मदीना, नजफ, करबला, बगदाद, तबरीज और तेहरान के रास्ते मशहद का सफर किया। वे सोमियानी से किश्ती के रास्ते प्राचीन बंदरगाह अल अस्वाद पहुंचे और आगे मक्का को चल पड़े। गुरु नानक के पद चिन्हों पर अब हम पाकिस्तान से सऊदी अरब जा रहे हैं। सऊदी अरब में इस्लाम से जुड़े सबसे पवित्र स्थल मक्का और मदीना है। हजरत मोहम्मद के जन्म के साथ ही 7वीं शताब्दी में इस्लाम इस इलाके में फला फूला। सऊदी अरब की मौजूदा सल्तनत की बुनियाद 1932 ईस्वी की है और इसमें दो ऐतिहासिक मरुस्थल हिजाज और नजद हैं। अरबी जजीरे में सऊदी अरब सबसे बड़ा मुल्क है। ऊंची लहरों में कई दिनों के समुद्री सफर के बाद गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना सऊदी अरब की अल अस्वाद बंदरगाह पर उतरे। इससे आगे उन्होंने जमीनी रास्ता लिया। रेत के सख्त और गर्म टिल्लों में से होते हुए मक्का पहुंचे। सिटी ऑफ मक्का। माना जाता है कि मक्का लफ्ज माका का पर्याय है और इसका अर्थ सभी बस्तियों की मां है। मारुस्थल में ये शहर 7वीं सदी में मुसलमानों का तीर्थ स्थल बनने से पहले व्यापार का केंद्र था। पहली सदी के यूनानी लेखक पटोलमी ने इस शहर का जिक्र मको राबा के नाम से किया है। मक्का में सबसे पवित्र मस्जिद के केंद्र में ये घन आकार जैसी इमारत काबा है, जिसे मुसलमान बैतुल्ला मानते हैं, जिसका मायना है अल्लाह का घर। प्राचीन काल में इस्लाम से पहले अरब जजीरा के कई कबीले काबा में स्थापित बुतों की इबादत करने के लिए इकट्ठा होते थे। इस्लाम के संस्थापक हजरत मोहम्मद का जीवन काल 570 ईस्वी से 632 ईस्वी था। उन्होंने सभी बुतों को हटा दिया था। हजरे उल अस्वद, काला पत्थर, एक प्राचीन पत्थर है जिसकी मान्यता इस्लाम से पहले के समय से है। हजरत मोहम्मद ने इसको काबा की पूर्वी दीवार के साथ स्थापित किया था और इसको पवित्र इस्लामी प्रतीक माना जाता है। मुसलमान अपनी जिंदगी में एक बार हज करने की इच्छा रखते हैं। इस्लामिक रिवाज के अनुसार जियारती काबा की परिक्रमा करते हैं और काले पत्थर हजरे उल अस्वद को चूमते हैं। हज लफ्ज का मूल स्थानीय बोलियों में है। हिब्रू में इसकी जड़ें हक्का लफ्ज से जुड़ती हैं, जिसका मतलब नेकी है। अरबी में इसका अर्थ किसी मुहिम के लिए किए प्रयास से जुड़ता है। इस तरह हज अपने अंदर को की गई रूहानी यात्रा के लिए किए गए प्रयास की नुमाइंदगी करता है। मक्का में अपने क़याम के दौरान एक दिन गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना सो रहे थे। उनको जीवन नाम के हाजी ने फटकार कर जगाया कि वह काबा की ओर पैर करके सो रहे हैं। अरबी में किबला लफ्ज का अर्थ काबा की निश्चित दिशा है। मुसलमान किबला की तरफ पैर रखना अपमानजनक समझते हैं। गुरु नानक की तर्कपूर्ण समझ ने जीवन को अलवासी के इस्लामी फलसफे की याद दिलाई, जिसका अर्थ है कि इलाही हर तरफ जाहिर है। गुरु नानक की जन्म साखियों को लिखने वालों और भाई गुरदास ने अपने वारों में जिक्र किया है कि गुस्से में जीवन ने गुरु नानक के पैरों को घुमा दिया था, तो काबा उसी दिशा में घूम गया। दिलचस्प बात यह है कि काबे के इस तरह घूमने के बारे में एक वृतांत हजरत राबिया अल बसरी के साथ भी जुड़ा हुआ है, जो मुस्लिम सूफी संत थी। मेरी विनम्र राय के मुताबिक काबा के घूमने का अफसाना हाजरा हजूर की सर्व व्यापकता का रूपक है। गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना का मक्का में मुल्तान के मखदूम भावदी और उच के मखदूम हाजी शेख अब्दुल बुखारी के साथ फिर से मिलाप हुआ। मक्का को आते हुए वह सिंध के शहर शिकारपुर से जमीनी रास्ते से आने के कारण अलग हो गए थे। उन्होंने मुल्तान और उच के मखदूमों के साथ ही क़याम किया। कुछ हाजियों ने गुरु नानक से उनके मजहब के बारे में पूछा। जवाब में गुरु नानक ने गाया,
केसर कुसुम मृग में हरणा, सर्व शरीरी चढ़ना, चंदन भगता ज्योति नहीं, सर्वे परमल करना, किए पट पांडा कहना को ऐसा भगत वरन में हो, तेरे नाम निवे रहे लिव लाए, नानक दिन दर पी के अपाए, तेरे नाम निवे रहे लिव लाए, नानक दिन दर पी के अपाए।
गुरु नानक ने मजहबी शरीकेबाजी की बजाय मानवता के साथ प्यार वाले फलसफे का समर्थन किया। मक्का में शरिया के काजी रुकनुद्दीन ने बयान किया कि इस्लाम का मार्ग सबसे अच्छा है, और उन्होंने गुरु नानक को मुसलमानों के शिष्टाचार का पालन करने का आह्वान किया। जवाब में गुरु नानक ने गाया,
मेहर मसीत सिद्क मुसला हक हलाल कुरान शर्म सुन्नत सील रोजा हो मुसलमान करनी का सच पीर कलमा कर्म निवाज तस्बीह सातिस पावसी नानक रखै लाज
गुरु नानक ने रीति रिवाजों को निभाने की बजाय नेक जीवन जीने के महत्व का इजहार किया। उन्होंने रूपक के तौर पर काजी को बताया कि वो रहम की मस्जिद में एहतराम करें, यकीन का मुसल्ला फैलाएं, कुरान की आयतों की तरह नेक कमाई ग्रहण करें, विनम्रता का खतना करें, नेक इरादों का व्रत रखें और अपने नेक कामों को काबा समझें। गुरु नानक के पद चिन्हों पर विभिन्न विचारों के साथ हमारा वास्ता पड़ा। मैं अक्सर सोचता हूँ कि जिन विचारों को किसी समय अहम माना जाता है, उनकी उससे पहले अहमियत नहीं थी, और भविष्य में भी इनकी तब्दीली होती रहेगी। गुरु नानक ने कहा कि इस कायनाती अखाड़े में हर चीज विकास से बंधी हुई है।
ना को मुल्ला ना को काजी ना को शेख मसायक हाजी रैयत राव ना हो मैं दुनिया ना को कहण कहाएदा नानक साच राते बिस्मार दी बिस्म पाए गुण गाएदा।
गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना ने मरुस्थल के रास्ते मक्का से मदीना के उत्तर की ओर सफर किया। मदीना को अल मदीना भी कहते हैं, जिसका अरबी में मायना रोशन शहर है। मदीना को मक्का के बाद इस्लाम में दूसरा सबसे पवित्र स्थान होने का रुतबा हासिल है। पश्चिमी सऊदी अरब में मदीना रेगिस्तानी द्वीप है, जो हिजाज पहाड़ों और ज्वालामुखी टिल्लों से घिरा हुआ है। इस्लाम से पहले इसका नाम यथरीब था। इस शहर के केंद्र में मस्जिद अल नबवी है, जहां इस्लाम के संस्थापक पैगंबर मोहम्मद दफन है। मुसलमानों के लिए यह जियारत का अहम स्थान है। मजहबी अलगाव का रुझान सामाजिक है। ऐसी मिसालें हैं जहां दूसरे मजहब वालों को इबादत वाले स्थान पर जाने की इजाजत नहीं होती। सदियों से मक्का शहर और मदीना की मस्जिद अल नबवी में गैर मुसलमानों को आने की अनुमति नहीं है। गुरु नानक वहदत का मुजस्मा थे और मजहबी हदूद से ऊपर थे। उन्होंने किसी भी धार्मिक तबके से जुड़े होने का दावा नहीं किया और वो चेतन तौर पर स्थानीय लोगों से मिलते जुलते कपड़े पहनते थे ताकि वह उन्हीं में सम्मिलित हो सकें। इससे संचार आसान हो जाता था। मक्का में गुरु नानक के आगमन की खबर पहले ही फैल चुकी थी। मजहबी पक्ष से मुसलमान होने के कारण भाई मर्दाना को मस्जिद अल नबवी में मुश्किल होने का अंदाजा था। मस्जिद अल नबवी में हालात का अंदाजा लगाने के लिए वह पहले वहां गए। इसके बाद वो वहां इकट्ठा हुई संगत के साथ गोष्ठी करने के लिए गुरु नानक को अपने साथ ले गए।
देवल देवत्या कर लागा, ऐसी कीरत चाल।
वहदत के पक्षधर गुरु नानक को यह पाबंदियां मानवता के अंदर किया जा रहा भेदभाव प्रतीत होती थी। इस सफर के दौरान हमारे समूह में विभिन्न मजहबों के सदस्य शामिल थे और हमारा सामना इबादत के विभिन्न स्थानों पर लगाई गई पाबंदियों से हुआ, जो उनकी अपनी अपनी मान्यताओं के कारण है। हिंदू स्थानों पर हमारी टोली के मुसलमान साथियों को जाने की इजाजत नहीं मिली। इसी तरह गैर मुसलमानों को मक्का और मदीना में जाने की आज्ञा नहीं मिली। बदकिस्मती से रोशन ख्याल रहबरों के ऊंचे ख्यालों की प्रेरणा और मानवीय एकता के संदेश के बावजूद समाज में फूट पड़ी हुई है। मुझे गुरु नानक का सबक याद आया है।
कल्ली आती चंगिया आचारी बुरिया, मनो को सुधा कालिया बाहर चिटविया, रीसा कर तिनाड़िया जो से वे दर खड़िया।
गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना मदीना से मरुस्थल काफिलों के रास्ते पर नजफ गए। यह रास्ता बेगम जुबैदा ने जियारतियों के लिए बनवाया था, जो खलीफा हारून रशीद की बीवी थी। हम सऊदी अरब से हवाई जहाज के रास्ते इराक जा रहे हैं और नजफ से गुरु नानक के पद चिन्हों पर चलते हुए अपना सफर आगे बढ़ाएंगे। नजफ पुरातन शहर बेबीलोन से 30 किलोमीटर दक्षिण की ओर है। यह शहर 791 ईस्वी में अब्बासिद खलीफा हारून रशीद ने पैगंबर मोहम्मद के दामाद हजरत अली की याद में बसाया था, जो इमाम अली मस्जिद में दफन है। सोना चढ़ाया हुआ गुंबद वाला यह स्थान उन मुसलमानों के लिए जियारत का केंद्र है जो इस स्थान को इस्लाम का तीसरा सबसे पवित्र स्थल मानते हैं। वादी उस सलाम का अरबी में मतलब अमन की वादी है। यह दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा कब्रिस्तान है। शिया बिरादरी के लोग इस कब्रिस्तान में दफन होने की इच्छा पालते हैं, जिसके पास इमाम अली का मकबरा है। माना जाता है कि कयामत वाले दिन इस कब्रिस्तान में दफन लोग अपने रूहानी रहबर समेत वापस जाग जाएंगे। मैं सोचता हूँ कि मनुष्य मरने के बाद जन्नत में जगह महफूज करने की ज्यादा चिंता करता है और सार्थक जिंदगी जीने की अहमियत भूल जाता है।
मिट्टी मुसलमान की पेड़े पई कुम्यार, कर पांडे इट्टा किया जल्दी करे पुकार, जल जल रोवे पापड़ी, चढ़ चढ़ पवे अंगिया, नानक जिन करते कारण किया, तो जाने करता।
मौत के बाद शरीर अग्नि के सुपुर्द किया जाए या दफन किया जाए, अंत में इसने मिट्टी ही हो जाना है। इन कब्रों की मिट्टी कुम्हार के सांचे में से निकलती है तो बर्तन और ईंटें बन जाती है, जिससे लोगों के घर बनते हैं जो किसी भी मजहब के पैरोकार हो सकते हैं। मानव शरीर जिंदा होते हुए भी भेद करता है। गुरु नानक ने फरमाया कि बंदा चाहे कितने भी शिष्टाचार का पालन कर ले, परंतु सृजनहार उनके अमलों और इरादों से अवगत है। गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना ने नजफ से करबला का सफर किया, जो यहाँ से 75 किलोमीटर दूर है। गुरु नानक के पद चिन्हों पर अब हम नजफ से करबला जा रहे हैं। करबला यूफ्रेटस नदी के पश्चिमी किनारे पर स्थित है, जो बगदाद के दक्षिण पश्चिम में मध्य इराक का शहर है। हम पवित्र शहर करबला में हैं, जहां पैगंबर मोहम्मद के दोते इमाम हुसैन की शहादत हुई और वह इसी शहर में आराम फरमा है। बगदाद को जाते हुए गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना करबला शहर से गुजरे थे। पास थ्रू द सिटी ऑफ करबला। करबला की मशहूर जंग 680 ईस्वी में हुई, जो इस्लामी इतिहास की एक महत्वपूर्ण घटना है। इस जंग के नतीजे ने ही इस्लाम को दो गुटों, शिया और सुन्नी में विभाजित कर दिया। करबला की जंग की बारीक विवरण शिया मजहब और तहजीब की तस्दीकी मोहर बन गई। करबला के मकबरे में ज़ियारती अशूरा करने आते हैं, जो करबला की जंग में इमाम हुसैन और उनके समर्थों की शहादत को सजदा है। इमाम हुसैन की शहादत उनके अंदर बसे मकसद की गवाही देती है, जिसका उद्देश्य जुल्म और गुलामी के खिलाफ इंसाफ और आज़ादी वाले संपूर्ण चरित्र की बुनियाद रखना था। शहीदों की अकीदत में श्रद्धालु स्वयं को चोट पहुंचाने वाली रस्म निभाते हैं, विलाप करते हैं और कातिलों को कोसते हैं।
रब की रजाए मन्ने से रहूं पर, करता मने आप गवावे, तो नानक सर भजिया मेहरमत होए, ता मुसलमान कहावे।
शहादत को सच्चा अकीदा अहंकार को मारकर प्रेम की दुहाई देकर अपने और दूसरों के अपमान का तिरस्कार करके ही पेश किया जा सकता है। गुरु नानक ने फरमाया कि सर्वशक्तिमान की रजा में रहने वाला मेहरबान इंसान ही सच्चा मुसलमान हो सकता है। गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना नजफ से मारूस्थली रास्ते पर सफर करते हुए बगदाद पहुंचे। गुरु नानक के पद चिन्हों पर अब हम करबला से बगदाद जा रहे हैं। इराक इस ऐतिहासिक तौर पर इराक को सभ्यताओं का पालना कहा जाता है। इसकी राजधानी बगदाद दो नदियों टाइग्रिस और यूफ्रेटिस के बीच में स्थित है। 13वीं शताब्दी के यात्री इब्न बतूता ने जिक्र किया है कि नजफ से बगदाद का सौदागरी मार्ग बहुत कठिन था। ऐतिहासिक लिखतों में दर्ज है कि गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना ने भी उसी मार्ग पर सफर किया। भाई गुरदास ने अपनी वारों में लिखा है कि बगदाद पहुंचकर गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना ने शहर के बाहर विश्राम किया। फिर बाबा गया बगदाद नो बाहर जाए किया अस्थाना, एक बाबा अकाल रूप दूजा रबाबी मर्दाना। गुरु नानक के बगदाद आने के समय पर यहाँ फारसी सल्तनत पर ईरान के शिया हुक्मरान शाह इस्माइल के सफाविद वंश का शासन था। इस्लामी इतिहास में उस दौर को हंगामा खेज माना जाता है, क्योंकि शिया और सुन्नी मुसलमानों के बीच संघर्ष बढ़ गया था और दोनों अपनी सियासी और मजहबी संप्रभुता पर जोर दे रहे थे। मजहबी विभाजनों के बारे में सोचकर मुझे गुरु नानक का शब्द याद आया है।
मुसलमान मुस्कल जा होए ता मुसलमान कहावे, अवल आल दीन कर मिठा मस्कल माना माल मुसावे, होए मुस्लिम दीन मुहाण मरण जीवन का भरम चुकावे, रब गिर जाए सिर ऊपर करता मने आप गवा नानक सरब जिया मेहरमंत होए ता मुसलमान कहावे।
गुरु नानक ने फरमाया कि किसी एक मजहबी समूह के साथ जुड़ना आसान है। दरअसल सच्चा लगाव तो किसी मजहब की शिक्षाओं के सार को अपने मन में बसा लेना है। बगदाद में हम कादरी इस्लामी सूफी सिलसिले के स्थान पर जा रहे हैं। हम बगदाद में पीर मोइनुद्दीन अब्दुल कादिर गिलानी साहिब की मजार पर हैं। वो कादरी सिलसिले के संस्थापक थे। जब गुरु नानक इस शहर में आए तो इस दरगाह के रूहानी मोहतबर पीर अब्दुल रहमान थे। उन्हें पीर दस्तगीर के नाम से भी जाना जाता था, जिसका अर्थ है जो रूहानी अगुवाई के लिए हाथ थाम लेता है। बगदाद में क़याम के दौरान गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना एक दिन इलाही की वजद में हाजरा हजूर के संदेश का गायन कर रहे थे। उन्होंने बताया कि हिंदू वेदों के अनुसार असंख्य लोग हैं जिनकी तलाश ही थका देती है, और इस्लामी कतीबों के अनुसार 18,000 लोग हैं। गुरु नानक ने कहा, असलियत में हाजरा हजूर एक है और बाकी सब उसी का इजहार है।
पाताला पाताल लख आगासा ओढ़क ओढ़क पाल थके वेद कहन एक बात, सहस 18 कहन कते बात, असलु एक तात, लिखा हुए ता लिखिए, लिखे हुए बिना। नानक बता रखिए, आपे
इस इलाके में इस्लामी मजहब से जुड़े कुछ गुटों का मानना था कि संगीत हराम है। बेअदबी के इस कृत्य की शिकायत लेकर कुछ लोग पीर अब्दुल रहमान, पीर दस्तगीर के पास पहुंचे, जो स्वयं चलकर गुरु नानक के पास पहुंचे। दोनों के बीच रूहानी गोष्ठी हुई। इसके बाद पीर दस्तगीर ने गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना को पीर मोइनुद्दीन अब्दुल कादिर गिलानी की मज़ार पर इकट्ठा हुई संगत के साथ कुछ समय गुजारने का निमंत्रण दिया। इस मज़ार पर गुरु नानक की मुलाकात फकीर बहलोल के साथ हुई, जो 8वीं शताब्दी के कूफा के रूहानी संत बहलोल दाना के रूहानी उत्तराधिकारी थे। फकीर बहलोल ने गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना को बगदाद के बाहर अपने छोटे से निवास में क़याम करने के लिए आमंत्रित किया। हम अब फकीर बहलोल के मज़ार पर जा रहे हैं। हम उस जगह पर हैं जो पहले व्यावहारिक तौर पर बगदाद में गुरुद्वारा हुआ करता था। यह गुरु नानक के यहाँ आने और उनकी फकीर बहलोल के साथ मुलाकात की याद में बनाया गया था। यह टाइग्रिस नदी और बगदाद रेलवे स्टेशन के करीब है। 20वीं सदी की शुरुआत में ब्रिटिश भारतीय फौज के पंजाबी फौजी बगदाद में तैनात थे। उन्होंने फकीर बहलोल की मज़ार के पास गुरु नानक के आने की याद में यह यादगार बनवाई थी। सियासी उथल पुथल के कारण इराक में आकर बसने वाले आवासी पलायन कर गए। इसके बाद 2003 ईस्वी की इराक जंग में यह गुरुद्वारा तबाह हो गया था। हम अबू यूसुफ को मिले। जब इस गुरुद्वारे में सेवा संभाल होती थी, तब उनके दादा यहाँ सेवादार थे।
سبقني بالعمل هنا جدي، كان يعمل هنا وأنا أخذت المكان اللي كان هو يعمل به. بعد الأحداث اللي صارت عام 2003 سقطت بعض القذائف على موقع بابا نانوك، فأثرت على مطلق بهلول الكوفي، وتأثر بابا نانوك بشكل كبير، وتشوفون الوضع اللي هو عليه بالوقت الحاضر.
मुझे बताया गया है कि यह थड़ा था जहां गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब विराजमान किए जाते थे, और हमारे पीछे दीवार है जहां इस स्थान के इतिहास का वर्णन करने वाली एक पट्टिका थी। अच्छा और कठिन समय गतिमान है। अबू यूसुफ की गर्मजोशी और उनका गुरु नानक के लिए प्यार उम्मीद मांगता है कि कठिन हालात ने गुरु नानक की यादों को मिटा दिया था, और इस इलाके में अमन की वापसी के साथ वे यादें फिर से बहाल हो जाएंगी।
आखण देखण बोल जनन जीवन मरना पात हुक्म साज हुक्म विच रखे नानक सचा
बगदाद से गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना ने उत्तर की ओर जमीन के रास्ते से तबरीज का सफर किया। हम इराक से ईरान जा रहे हैं और तबरीज से हम गुरु नानक के पद चिन्हों पर अपना सफर आगे बढ़ाएंगे। ईरान के उत्तर पश्चिम सरहद आर्मेनिया और अजरबैजान के साथ लगती हैं। इसके उत्तर में कैस्पियन सागर है, उत्तर पूर्व में तुर्कमेनिस्तान है, पूर्व में अफगानिस्तान है और दक्षिण पूर्व में पाकिस्तान है। 16वीं शताब्दी में बगदाद से तेहरान जाने का आम रास्ता पूर्वी अजरबैजान सूबे के तबरीज शहर से होकर जाता था, जो उत्तर पश्चिमी ईरान में पड़ता है। गुरु नानक से 1 सदी पहले इस इलाके का सफर करने वाले मोरक्को के यात्री इब्न बतूता ने लिखा है कि तबरीज मंगोलों की राजधानी थी और व्यापारिक मार्ग पर होने के कारण सौदागरी का केंद्र था। जब गुरु नानक ने इस इलाके का सफर किया तो उसकी पहचान फारस के तौर पर थी। इस इलाके में लोग उस समय और अब भी इस्लाम को मानते हैं। तबरीज में हमें गुरु नानक के यहाँ आने का कोई संकेत नहीं मिला। 19वीं शताब्दी में सिंध के मिश्रित मजहबी बरादरी के सौदागर पाकिस्तान के मुल्तान और सिंध से यहाँ बस गए थे, जो गुरु नानक को मानते थे। वह अपने रूहानी जोड़ मेले आतिशगाह में करते थे, जो अजरबैजान के बाकू शहर का आतिश मंदिर था। यहाँ की ज़ोरास्ट्रियन बिरादरी भी इस स्थान की अकीदत करती थी। आतिशगाह मंदिर की बाहरी दीवारों पर वैदिक मंत्रों के साथ गुरु नानक की बाणी भी खुदी हुई है। इस नक्काशी की सरपरस्ती उदासीन संप्रदाय के बाबा बांके साहिब ने की थी। गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना ने तबरीज से तेहरान का सफर किया। गुरु नानक के पद चिन्हों पर अब हम तबरीज से तेहरान जा रहे हैं। तेहरान में हम गुरुद्वारे जा रहे हैं, जो 1941 में गुरु नानक के अनुयायियों द्वारा बनाया गया था। कभी ईरान के 2 शहरों तेहरान और जाहिदान में सिखों की जिक्र योग्य आबादी होती थी। हालिया सियासी समस्याओं के कारण इस इलाके में सिख आबादी कम होकर कुछ सैकड़े रह गई है। ईरानी लोग इस गुरुद्वारे को मस्जिद ए हिंदन कहते हैं, जिसका अर्थ है हिंद के लोगों की मस्जिद। गुरुद्वारा और मस्जिद रूपी शब्दों का ऐसा मिलन मुझे गुरु नानक के उस शब्द की याद दिलाता है, जिसमें वह कहते हैं कि इबादत के विभिन्न मजहबी स्थानों से विभिन्न तरह की पुकार आती है। इसको सुनने और मन में दिव्यता को बसाने वाले ही गुणवान हैं।
पांगा बुरगु सिंगिया नाले मिली कलान एक दाते एक मंगते नाम तेरा परवाने नानक जिनी सुन के मानिया हो तेन बिटो कुर्बान.
There is a lot of Gurbani in Guru Granth Sahib in Persian language, which proves that he definitely did come to Iran. We have many shabas, of course, one of them like Dunya Muqam Fani, which was recited by him, and which shows that he was well versed with this area and the language as well.
गुरु नानक कई बोलियों में पारंगत थे और स्थानीय निवासियों से जुड़ने के लिए उनकी उपबोलियों का इस्तेमाल करते थे। ईरान में उन्होंने फारसी में जोड़ा गया सबक गाया।
सब रोज कस्तम दर हवा कर दे बदी ख्याल काहे नान की कार करदम मम ईचिन अहवाल बदबख्त हम तू बखील गाफिल बेनजर बेबाक नानक भगोयद तेरे चकरा पखो चकरा पखो।
खुशी की तलाश में मनुष्य लालच और बदनीयती का शिकार हो जाता है। गुरु नानक नम्रता से फरमाते हैं कि उनको इलाही झुकाव रखने वालों के चरणों में खुशी मिलती है। गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना ने तेहरान से मशहद का सफर किया। गुरु नानक के पद चिन्हों पर चलते हुए अब हम तेहरान से मशहद जा रहे हैं। इब्न बतूता, मार्क पोलो, नादिर शाह और सिकंदर ने इन इलाकों से सफर किया। उनका मकसद अपने इलाकों और सौदागरी का विस्तार करना था। दुनिया ने उनकी कई कहानियां सुनी हैं। दुनिया इन रास्तों पर गुरु नानक के सफर से अनजान है, जबकि उनका मकसद मानवता का प्रसार करना और मानवता की एकता का संदेश देना था। मशहद शहर ईरान के उत्तर पूर्वी इलाके में है। यह रजावी खुरासान सूबे की राजधानी है और शिया मुसलमानों के लिए मजहबी महत्व का केंद्र है। 8वें शिया इमाम रिजा की 818 ईस्वी में हुई शहादत को अकीदत भेंट करने के लिए सानाबाद शहर का नाम बदलकर मशहद रख दिया गया, जिसका मायना शहादत का स्थान है। हम मशहद में इमाम रजा की दरगाह पर जा रहे हैं। भाई मणि सिंह जन्म साखी के अनुसार गुरु नानक और भाई मर्दाना की मशहद में मुलाकात पीर अब्दुल रहमान से हुई, जो अफगानिस्तान के शहर गर्देश से जियारत के लिए इस दरगाह पर पहुंचे थे। गुरु नानक के मजहबी बिरादरी से ऊपर उठकर मानवीय गुणों को महत्व देने वाले विचारों से प्रभावित होकर उनके मन में यह जानने की जिज्ञासा हुई कि सिर्फ पैगंबर मोहम्मद में विश्वास रखने वाले सुन्नी ज्यादा धन्य हैं या शिया, जो पैगंबर मोहम्मद के साथ साथ हजरत अली में विश्वास रखते हैं। गुरु नानक ने इस्लामी नियमों के हवाले से जवाब दिया कि उनके लिए सभी एक समान है, क्योंकि सभी प्राणियों में इलाही रोशनी है। हर रूह का अपने आस पास असर होता है। रोशन ख्याल रूहें हमें अपने चुने हुए दिव्य पथ पर आगे बढ़ने के लिए मार्गदर्शन करती हैं।
पंज निवाजा वक्त पंज पंजा पंजे ना पहला सच हलाल दोए तीजा खैर खुदाए चौथी नियत रासमन पंजवीं सिफत सनाए करणी कलमाख के ता मुसलमान सदाए नानक केते कूड़ियार कूड़े कूड़ी पाए
गुरु नानक का संदेश था कि इस्लाम को मानने वाले 5 नमाजें पढ़ते हैं, परंतु सच्चे यकीन वाला दीनदार मुसलमान अपने मार्गदर्शक की अकीदत और इज्जत करता है और ईमानदारी, करुणा, एकता, विनम्रता और विचारशीलता के 5 अभ्यासों को मन में बसा लेता है। ऐतिहासिक तौर पर ईरान की समृद्ध सभ्यता अन्य क्षेत्रों के लिए प्रेरणा और प्रभाव का स्रोत रही है।
I'm an Iranian who has had the opportunity to spend many years in India. And in those many years, I had the opportunity to come across the teachings of different faiths, including the Sikhism. The beauty of Guru Nanak was he used the Persian to beautify his teachings, which I really appreciate.
मौजूदा विश्व राजनीति ने इस मुल्क को अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर अलग थलग कर दिया है। इस स्थिति को देखकर मुझे गुरु नानक का संदेश याद आता है कि अहंकार के बवंडर में फंसा हुआ मानव मन ये भेद नहीं कर सकता है कि कौन से लक्षण समाज के लिए फायदेमंद हैं और कौन से हानिकारक।
चंगा मंदा किछ नहीं ए तन देखो बे
Right. So, hi.
Yeah, thanks, Amardeep. That is fascinating. Just to see if people are paying attention, how many countries did we visit today? Right? How many countries did we visit? Anybody has any answers on that? You can put it in the chat. Meanwhile, Divyanshu has a question, Amardeep.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
What's the question?
Am I audible?
Little
Yeah.
louder.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask that Guru Nanak Ji is a source of that invisible power, or he was able to see that invisible power that you are talking about in first. Because the thought of Guru Nanak Ji is same as what we know about that invisible source thought,
So, well,
like importance of honest living, service to humanity, and there are many.
all right. So first and foremost, he's a human being, right? He's a human being, and every human being has boundaries and limitations like you and me. but the intellect of his human form was connected with the expansive energy, right? And could understand that better than what you and me can understand, right? So he is not the source per se. The power or that energy is beyond it. It is from that we all are coming as a human being. He came for some 70 years in this world and he went back into that, right? So he's just like us. But what's the wisdom he's left for us is the most important thing, right? So, but then you see that potential lies in amongst all of us. So if you see it from that angle, if you're all connected to that same energy, then we all are that same power, right? You can also say that, I mean, because the potential lies in you. And what when you grow up, what you do out of that potential, you can become that source itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is one more question. How did Guru Nanak Dev Ji teaching challenge the religious and social and political system of his time? Meant how what challenges he faces at that time?
Okay, so that's a good question. You see, the fact is that there is something that was for a person for 22 years who's traveled across diverse areas today, which are 9 countries, and he has left his home and he's having these constant dialogues with people of different spiritual traditions. Of course, he's dissatisfied with the social and political system of that time. That's why he's actually making these trips, right? So there is some, you see, you cannot do something out of the box unless there's dissatisfaction amongst the current thing that is going on, right? Only if you're dissatisfied, you'll try and say, I want to understand. I want to bring about a change, right? Why are you all sitting in this forum? I mean, it's to take away something from here, right? So the first step of trying to do something starts with a dissatisfaction. Now, of course, he was dissatisfied. And if you really go back into the series and understand, he's said at many places, he's dissatisfied with the social system of the subcontinent where we are discriminating people based on caste. We are discriminating between man and woman based on gender. We are discriminating between rich and poor based on wealth. And he's like other bhakti saints like Kabir ji and Namdev and others, or Farid. He's actually questioning, they all are questioning, why are you doing this, right? When it comes to political angle, you see, when he's traveling around different times and different places, like you'll come now in the next episode, which we'll see next in the next month, it's in Afghanistan. And when he comes back into Punjab from Afghanistan after his travel from the Islamic world, the Mughal dynasty's founder, Babur, would have attacked and the Indian subcontinent, crossed the Indus River and come on this side. Now, he talks at that time of a very profound, actually, message he gives. Now, Babur is a political ruler. For him, religion is the least of the worries. Today, we tend to actually put every political leader into religion. Let's get it straight. Any party, any political person who's trying to bank on religion is doing it for their own gains. The true spiritual values will not differentiate between people, right? So any political party or any political agenda or any political king or any political leader who's trying to do that, they are doing it for their own gains, right? So let's get that straight. So when Babur attacked, yes, he was a follower of Islam, but for him, Islam did not matter, because when he came into Punjab, the texts tell us that he massacred whoever opposed him, right? Whether it was a Hindu or a Muslim, he massacred them. For him, the objective is who is going to be aligning with him in his attack into the Indian subcontinent, and whether it doesn't matter what the religion of the person is. The same thing applies to today's leaders also, right? So the thing out here is when he's there and Babur comes in, Guru Nanak gives a very profound message. He questions that, this man has now, and he writes it in his words, he says, this man has now, having conquered Khorasan, which is Central Asia, has now crossed the Indus River and has come this side of the world, which is now the land of what we call as Hindustan. He says, Khorasan khasmana kiya, having ruled Khorasan, which is Central Asia, Hindustan daraya. He's now entering the Hindustan and he's instilling fear in the people of this land, right? And then he says, and then he asks a very profound question. See, he's more worried about the society that we live in, right? Even in the politics. He says, Tanki darad nahi aaya, right? Basically, he says, for so many years, you have as a society, he's questioning us. He's not concerned about Babur's attack. He's saying for so many years, we as a society have silently killed our own people based on caste, wealth, male, female. We have been doing that same kind of a massacre that Babur is doing physically with a sword. For thousands of years, we have been doing this to our own society. And now, when the divine energies have sent this man to attack you, now you're crying. I think the message that he's leaving is be careful about your actions at every moment. I think that's the political and a spiritual and a religious and a social message that he continues to give everywhere.
Yeah, thank you for that, Amardeep. I mean, if you read history, I mean, there are many Hindu kings who've attacked other Hindu empires and actually, taken down temples for wealth. So, I mean, it's well documented that, when kings are basically political people and, their objectives are very different from spiritual or religious, religious and spiritual, I'm putting in the same sentence, but, folks with that disposition. So coming back to the question, how many countries did we visit? Makkah and Medina are not a country, part of Saudi Arabia, right? Iran, Iraq is out there. We also visited one more country. I thought we also saw Baku and Azerbaijan.
No. That Baku, the wording is very different. The wording has been, we are saying we are in that region, so we just go there to bring about a narrative that the WhatsApp university is today trying to popularize that he's visited there. No, these were the traders from Sindh and Multan who were traveling into Central Asia, and in the fire temple that was actually put there by the Parsi community, the fire worshippers, the Hindus and Sikhs would find a place there as a when they were going to Central Asia. And because it was a fire temple, there was an Udasin sadhu from Multan, whose name was Baba Banke Das. He has put these inscriptions of Vedic mantras on one side and Guru Nanak's verse of Ek Onkar on the other side, and his name is written there. The present generation is so shallow that everyone's into this Instagram mode of actually taking credit of something and creating stories on stories, that people are going there and clicking pictures and saying Guru Nanak has come here. Well, why are you ignoring the Vedic mantras on the other side? And do you think Guru Nanak's only job was to actually write things, inscriptions everywhere on every monument that are going? And that monument is made much after Guru Nanak, right? So how could he have done that? And the last name at the bottom of that inscription is Baba Banke Das Udasin's name written there. And I laugh at these people who don't even read the language, are finding and are making claims about it without reading the text of a language that they can't read. So that I was subtly trying to leave that message by giving the fact that it's an arm's length distance, but so far was the reach of the Indic tradition that these remnants are in these Caspian Sea area, and the reach was so far away. But people should be also careful that you don't need to send Nanak there. It's the Nanak's followers who went there, right?
Okay. So 3 countries today then: Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and help me, Amardeep. We've already traveled to Bangladesh. Obviously, we've been to Pakistan. We've been to Sri Lanka, and we've been to Tibet, right?
We've also been to Tibet, and
Yeah,
so we only left
China.
one, and we're going to in the next few
Afghanistan next time.
Next will be Afghanistan, and then of course India and Pakistan again he'll travel in.
India, of course, but what I'm saying is 9 countries. So we've got 3 today: Bangladesh, Pakistan, China, which is Tibet, and Sri Lanka. We've covered India, of course, and Afghanistan to come. So basically, though, no remnants of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's visit in Saudi Arabia at all.
No. I mean, people will the adherents of faith will make a
right. So that's what happened.
Yeah, make a physical thing anywhere and everywhere, because in the religious domain, one has to be better than the other, and one has to have this thing. So people will make stories, but no, there's nothing. You got to also keep in mind, when a person is traveling across 9 countries for 22 years, really step back. He's a person on a quest. You see, I have been, okay, let's put it this way. I'm not a Nanak or I'm not a Kabir or no one, but when we traveled across for such a large journey, and the journeys that I have done before that in my mind, right? have I really given any output? I mean, I start giving an output after I've absorbed and understood with the ground level experiences. And when he's traveling 22 years, his objective is, as we said in the first episode, Jab lag duniya rahiye Nanak, kich suniye kuch kahiye. Till we are alive in this world, seek and impart, seek and impart. For 22 years of his life, as a child of, as a person at 32 years of age, he's 31 years of age, he starts traveling. So 31 years of age, he's going through his education, his family, he gets married, he's working in a Modi Khana in a Sultanpur Lodi. Of course, his mind is in a turmoil about dissatisfactions that are happening. And then he says, no, I want to go and interact with spiritualists across different traditions. 22 years he travels. Do you think when he's traveling at such a pace, he's creating communes there? I mean, you can associate communes with him today, but he's on a very high speed across 9 countries. It's when he gathers that wisdom through experiential interactions with people of diverse traditions, and he comes and settles down in the banks of the river Ravi for the last 18 years of his life. I think that's where the commune starts coming together. And we'll see that happening in episode 23 and 24, how the commune starts coming together. And that's where the transmission starts happening. Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing is remnants. Remnants are in his words, in his dialogues, in his philosophy.
Right.
People of faith make remnants because they need to generate a revenue out of a religious institution that you develop there, because people will come and put money there and your religious institution will run. That's not done by these spiritual leaders. They are here for something else. People who are following them make these remnants, make these monuments or make these places of worship in their name, and they run a religious institution thereafter. They're two different things.
Right.
Jane, sir.
Yeah, Samar.
Sir, I want to ask a question from sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
How did Guru Nanak's interactions with the people he made during this journey reflect his core teachings?
How did it reflect his what teachings?
How did Guru Nanak's interactions with the people he made during this journey reflect his core teachings?
Well, you see, it's a very interesting question. See, let's just step back for a moment, right? As a human being, we are in a constant process of evolution, okay? In our minds also. There is an external environment that's influencing us. We have certain belief system that because of our past experiences that we have gathered, and if something goes not in line with our own belief system, then there's a conflict within us, right? But then as a person who's open, you will try and learn new things also through interactions. So I think it's just an ongoing process for a person like Kabir or Nanak or Farid or any of these people who are very high intellectually. They have a certain understanding. Have a certain principle, and they are now going across this journey of interacting with people of different traditions to seek and impart. But in the seeking, if they find there's a conflicting message coming in that doesn't align with their value system, they will not hesitate to actually give a response to that. But in the process, the whole thing is evolving. And I think really they are not born as like what we try and create in our Indic traditions many a time. Don't get me wrong, but we have diverse traditions in our Indian philosophies, right, and Indian religion space. But we make avatars, right? Look, every avatar also has challenges, and they go through. If you take Ram as an avatar, I mean, people worship him, but he's had his battles, he's had his turmoils, and he's gone through his evolutions, right? So treat them as humans first, and when they do something as a superhuman activity, that's what makes us think that they're an avatar. So it's an evolution, it's a process. We remember people for what they have left that motivates us as people, right? It really doesn't matter. They've come and they've gone. But what they've left back, if it motivates me to evolve, then I consider that person as superhuman or as an avatar. So of course, they've gone through their own process. And I think that question, Nanak can only answer for himself. or any other leader can answer for themselves what their turmoil is, what they are going through. We can only look at what they've left for us.
Yeah, sir. I agree with your point.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Myra, you wanted to ask a question?
Kids are very smart that they know when it's the right thing to agree to. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir.
Myra,
Yeah,
go
can
ahead.
I ask my
Please,
question?
please.
So, sir, in the beginning of the meeting, you said that we come in the world with nothing and we go from this world and we take nothing. So, like in this modern world where everything is driven by ambition and materialistic, everything is very materialistic. How do we balance both of these things? Because in today's world, we cannot completely detach from the all the materialistic happiness. So, how can we balance?
So it's a great question, Ara. No one is asking you to, if some spiritualist comes and tells you that materialism is pathetic and get away from it, run away from that person. Okay. The fact is you are made up of material. This body is made up of 5 elements. Okay. That is materialistic form. It has a certain intellect, it has a certain subtle element which you can't hold, but this body is made up of material. Every material around in the world is also made up of those 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, those 5 elements.
Space.
And space, right? 5 elements is what makes up every element of this world, and they are material, right? So there is nothing that you can make away, that you can run away from material. You are material, you are living with material, and you will die as a material and go into nothing. The only thing that you need to remember is that while you are alive, materialism is required to fulfill your needs to survive as a materialistic form. But when that materialism supersedes the values, I think that's where these spiritualists tell you that there is a human aspect, there is a social aspect, there's a community aspect, right? We have a responsibility for our communities, we have responsibilities for broader societies, right? That's the piece that they're trying to motivate you from. Now, so therefore, the two things that come in your life, always remember, at least I've actually, look, I am 59 years old, okay? I was in a corporate work job till 48 years old, and I was the Asia Pacific region's revenue management head for American Express. It's a very different world. I was only earning dollars and cents for my company in millions and billions of dollars, right? So that's a different world that we are living in altogether. It's a world of materialism, right? But in that world, I had my desires. And that was making me run. I had to comply with desires of others. But as my radar started changing and I started maturing and my other purposes in life started emerging, here's the 2 words that you have to keep in mind. At some point in your life, when life progresses, you have to understand these 2 things. There are 2 words. One is desires, one is needs. Okay? To live a comfortable life with the materials that you need, you don't need more than what your need is. If you have created more than your basic need, do your responsibility of doing goodness in the world. Now, if you can't do that, you can't guarantee it. Most of the people will be stuck in that materialistic element. They'll do nothing beyond what they need, or their only bank balances will keep increasing. That's the piece that these spiritualists are trying to warn you from. Because you have a responsibility. See yourself. I was hearing there is some guy in Dubai. He's an Indian. I'll not name him. But recently there are huge floods that are happening in Punjab, and he's cutting checks and he's giving. And he was speaking, and I was hearing him. I said, this guy gets it right. He's a big philanthropist. He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire, right? He's an Indian person. He's a billionaire. What he says is, I only retain 2% of my wealth. Every year, what he's earning, he says, I only keep 2% of it for myself. 98% I give for society, right? And he says, it's like my accountant, whom I've employed at the salary of $50,000 or whatever it is. Her responsibility is to simply cut checks to where I'm actually telling her to give. That's her responsibility. So the way he says is, I'm also like an accountant, like that accountant lady I've employed. The divine energies have given me this billions of wealth. And my job while I'm alive is to keep what I need and cut the checks and give it to everyone else. Now, this is a very fulfilling state to achieve. Is he running away from materialism? No. He's using his materials that he has gained to benefit the broader society. I think that's the key out here.
Thank you, sir.
Always keep in your mind, Myra, two words: desires and needs. And don't be in a hurry. You need wealth to satisfy your desires. At some point, your desires have to shift. You see, I was a very materialistically desiring person at a certain age of my life. Right now, also my desires are very high, but my desires are not to create my next $1 million in my bank. My desires are to leave something for the society in terms of the contents that we are creating, the wealth of information that we are studying and leaving back, because life is limited. Probably, if I look at Nanak, he lived 70 years. If I'm 59 years, I have 11 years left by his benchmark, right? In 11 years, what can you do? You can only do only that much, right? So I think that's the key out here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Manisha ma'am, Brinda ma'am, I don't think is here, right? I think
Yeah.
Talat
I'm
wanted
here.
to ask.
I'm here.
So she's there.
Okay, she's there. Okay. Okay, then last question, Talat, and then we can go. We can wind up.
Yeah, Talat.
I'm audible.
Louder, a little louder.
Sir, my question is that what we can do if the person is disrespecting any religion?
Oh. Talat, you've caught me off guard. This is probably the only question that since last 21 months that I'll probably not be able to answer, probably. Probably I'll tell you why. Sorry, I know you're in fifth standard, but this may not be the right answer for you. But all this series of Guru Nanak is about debunking the myth of religion, right? So look, as human values, if someone is not trying to respect someone, that's more of a concern, right? Yeah. It should not be about religion. It should be about people should respect you for who you are, and you should respect the others for whom they are. It doesn't matter what religion or what social background you're from. And Nanak's entire journey and going and meeting people of diverse faiths is essentially to make people understand that the boundaries of religion are not what we have to stick with, because religion is a overlayer of ritualisms and protocols over essence of the spiritual values, and he's always trying to take you there. So spiritual values, if you understand internally, there are certain moral aspects. Why should you not respect the others, and why shouldn't the others respect you? And respect should be on all forms: how you look, how you talk, how you behave, and that should be respectful, because everyone's unique. Does it make sense?
Yep, it does. And so thank you. Thanks a lot, Amardeep. Brinda ma'am is waiting, so we need to get on to the next session. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate your time and effort and your patience to explain things to us so beautifully. And I think some very, very basic and good questions came up, and I'm sure that will help for everybody in their life. So thanks a lot. Really appreciate all that you're doing for the world and for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, Brinda ma'am, without much ado, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I was looking at the wrong list. I was looking at the attendees list, and I couldn't find you there.
Okay.
And so
I joined in at about 11:45, and I was listening to Amardeep's
So I kept
answers,
wondering, and
very
then
interesting.
yes. So Aradhya, Brinda ma'am is here. We'll have to do the Joy of Learning diaries next time. Just quickly over to Brinda ma'am.
Right. So children, last time when we read, we were reading this chapter on fear. And I had given you a little bit of a homework, and I asked you to reflect on what we had read. And if any one of you has an incident to share, we had talked about how sometimes fear has been a kind of a motivation to do something in life. So if anybody has something to share, keep that ready. We'll come back to it towards the end of the chapter. Let's finish this chapter today because we had left it halfway through last time. So we'll start. Manisha ma'am has very kindly highlighted the paragraph where we have to start, and we will start from there. So I'm going to read from there. Back at home, you've given your marten quite a puzzle. It has to assume that another marten has broken all the rules and entered its favorite hollow uninvited. The absolute nerve. Now, children, do you remember what a marten is? And what is it that we were talking about in the last bit of the chapter that we read? Can anyone tell me? What is a marten? Yeah? Nobody remembers what a marten is? Do you know what a weasel is? A marten looks a lot like a weasel. And the portion we were reading last time, we were reading about how some of these animals, which are meant to be living in the wild, have strayed into the cities. And we were talking about martens, which are a part of a lot of Central European cities, and particularly in countries like Germany, they have come to cohabit with the human beings. So the author was taking us through this thing about how martens use their scent glands and they mark their territories, and how they, try to keep that area belonging to themselves. So that's what we were reading about, and we'll continue with this. So back at home, you've given your marten quite a puzzle. It has to assume that another marten has broken all the rules and entered its favorite hollow uninvited. This another marten would probably be referring to human beings who have entered into the territory of these animals. The absolute nerve of the human beings who've tried to do that. It furiously tries to remove all traces and banish its rivals. Soft hoses are ideally suited for venting rage, and the marten doesn't nibble on them carefully as it does when it's checking things out. In its blind fury, it brutally yanks them out. You can often see from the state of the blanket insulators underneath the bonnet how incandescent with rage they are. Sometimes all you find are claw marks. However, when we looked under the bonnet of our old Opel Vectra, we found the material hanging down in shreds. To achieve this effect, the marten had clearly lain down on its back and thrashed around wildly, ripping out whole chunks of the mat with its sharp claws. The so-called car martens don't necessarily love cars. They simply hate competition. If you park your car in the same place every night, you'll probably be fine. So you see here, the martens are described as animals who actually are trying to take a revenge against humans who have taken over their place in the city. And they would go under the car, and since they think it's an intruder who has come into their territory, they destroy the car in terms of eating out the hose or the carpets that are lining the car. That is when you talk about carpets, it's not really carpets as you have in your house, but it's inside the car, that the matting that there is, and they eat all this up. Meanwhile, there are innumerable insider tips on how to scare the animals away. Put small bags of human hair or sanitizing toilet trim blocks hanging in the engine compartment are example of remedies that will only be effective for a few days at most. For a while, we tried sprinkling pepper over the engine. That too didn't work in the long term. But a built-in device that delivered a shock when the marten stepped on electrified plates did the trick. We placed the plates where the marten usually got in, and after its first contact, it avoided them. An ultrasonic apparatus equipped with a bright light that reached to movement was similarly effective. However, the animals become deaf to devices that broadcast ultrasonic sounds all the time, and the constant noise is detrimental to bats and other species. So I wouldn't recommend using them. So these are ways of scaring the animals away. And sometimes it can be really a heartless thing to do. So what about our domestic animals? Do they idolize us and stay with us of their own free will? So this question, would anybody like to attempt answering this? What is to idolize, children? And whoever is in the group, if you can tell me, what is to idolize? It comes from the word idol. Who's an idol? And here, look how it is used as a verb. We idolize idols. Who's an idol and what is to idolize? Would anyone like to answer this? Yeah. We don't seem to have any response today. Are you tired? Okay, so to idolize is to treat somebody like an idol. An idol is someone whom you consider perfect, like a hero. You hero worship that person. So he becomes an idol for you, and you want to be like him or like her. So do they idolize? Do our pets, the domestic animals that we have in our homes or in our farms, do they think that we are their idols? That's the question that the author is asking us. Or is it perhaps fear that keeps them close? If there's a fence involved, the question doesn't even need to be asked. Cows, horses, and yes, our goats as well, are strictly speaking prisoners, even if they probably don't think of themselves that way. There's another unpleasant comparison here that has to do with Stockholm Syndrome. The person who coined the term, criminologist and psychiatrist Niels Bezeroth, was investigating the relationship between a man who robbed a Swedish bank in 1973 and his victims. The hostages developed feelings for the 32-year-old kidnapper that was similar to those children have for their mothers, whereas they hated the police and the authorities. This paradoxical development has been diagnosed in many other situations and is considered to be a protective psychological reflex that helps the victim survive their dangerous situations and somewhat lessens the psychological damage they suffer. So children, this is a very interesting thing for you to understand. I'm sorry, I'm constantly using the word children. There are adults in this group. I realize that this is a force of habit. There is something called the Stockholm Syndrome. Many interesting books have been written about this, and there have been many interesting movies in English as well as in Hindi, which have been made on this particular syndrome. Now, a syndrome is like a psychological, you can say a movement kind of a thing. And the Stockholm Syndrome is a situation when somebody has been kidnapped, and the person who has been kidnapped, or the people, the children, whoever have been kidnapped, they, instead of hating the person who has kidnapped them, they start in some way liking the person who has kidnapped them. So that is what the author is talking about over here. And he's giving us a little bit of a history over here, telling us how this terminology was coined and when did this come into being. In 1973, with this Swedish bank being robbed, and all those people who were kidnapped, instead of them hating the person who had kidnapped them, they started hating the authorities and the police who were trying to rescue them, right? So this is a very strange kind of a feeling. And the author here wonders whether the animals that stay with us as domestic animals, they stay because they like us, they idolize us, or is it because they have no go? They're caught in a kind of a prison-like situation and they're forced to stay with us. So if animals are sensitive souls, and I think they are, perhaps they develop similar strategies. When they're held captive, they usually don't trust us right away. They are wary and keep their distance. It takes a while before they start calling out a friendly greeting when they spot us in the distance walking towards the pasture. Does that sound somewhat heartless? Yes. So sorry, ma'am, you need to turn the page. Nature didn't intend for goats and horses to spend their whole lives as prisoners behind a fence. Let's not pretend. These animals would run away if only they could. So if they do indeed develop some kind of Stockholm syndrome, it might actually be the best thing for them because they will then accept their fate and find it tolerable. When we work out in the pasture, we can tell that our goats and horses enjoy being around us. Of course, the friendly greetings when we appear could also have something to do with feeding time, in which case we'd only be cheered as bearers of nourishment. It's a bit different with dogs and cats, although not initially. The relationship starts with an involuntary matchup. Then the animals are taken to their new home and are forced to spend a few days under house arrest or constrained at the end of a leash when out walking until they get used to their owners. This means that acclimatization is not completely of their choosing. However, when dogs and cats finally regain their freedom, they could just take off, but they don't. So here's another word, acclimatization. What is acclimatization? It simply means getting used to a particular place and its atmosphere. Often we say that when we go to a cold place, it's better to go to a cold place when it is less cold and it's just beginning to get colder so that our bodies get used to that temperature. And we say if we give ourselves time to acclimatize, we can bear the extreme weather as it comes upon us better. But if suddenly we go from one temperature to another, our bodies don't get enough time to acclimatize. So that's a very literary example that I'm giving you. And here the author is talking about animals getting acclimatized to a particular situation into which they are thrown. More moving are the rare cases when an abandoned pet adopts a person. Completely unforced relationships like this demonstrate that true partnerships are possible. Moreover, these kinds of partnerships happen not only between people and animals, but also between animals of different species. Wolves and ravens are one example. As wolf researcher Ellie Radinger explained to me, it turns out that ravens enjoy living with wolf packs, and the wolf pups even engage the blackbirds in play. When large enemies such as grizzly bears approach, the ravens warn their four-legged friends. The wolves repay the debt by allowing their feathered partners to feed alongside them at their kills. So do you know what's the difference between a crow and a raven? Does anybody want to tell me? What is the difference between a crow and a raven? Yeah. Today, they're not in the mood of answering, it looks like. Jugjiv, sir.
Yeah. No. Unfortunately, this methodology is also a little tough.
Yes,
With this webinar thing,
that's right.
while
Yeah.
it's a little easier. But we've
Yeah.
had, come across crows and ravens in this book earlier.
Yes.
And I remember showing a video of crows skiing
Right.
down a tin roof.
Okay. Okay, that's nice. I hope they remember that. So ravens are completely black. Crows are not as black as ravens, and there's a slight, very slight difference in the structure of their feathers. That's about it, right? So
Aradhya wants to talk. Aradhya, you may.
yeah.
Ma'am, I want to ask today, can we read reflections?
I think Jugjiv sir told you all that we don't have that kind of time right now. So we will read the reflections in the next week. Am I right, sir?
Yes, yes, we'll start with them, Aradhya. Sorry
Right.
about this today. That session ran over and we
Yeah.
must finish this chapter, it's almost done.
It's done. The chapter is finished, sir.
Yeah.
Do we start high society today, or shall we keep
No,
it
no, no.
for
We
the
had
next week?
12:28,
Yes.
and this is a good time to show what a marten looks like.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
what
there you are. There you are. See, so if you have seen a weasel, look at the marten. It looks so much like a weasel. And it says the pine marten is nature's most adorable assassin. Okay, that's a weasel.
Weasel on the right hand side, yeah.
Yeah. You find weasels generally in very cold places. I've seen weasels only in Ladakh, but I haven't seen them anywhere else. So, I mean, in Ladakh, in the wild, you can see the weasels.
Manisha, Kshitij has a question. Maybe you want to unmute him.
There's, yeah.
Kshitij.
No, no, sir. I don't have a question, sir. Sir, I forgetfully raised my hand, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
No problem.
Is there anyone else who wants to ask anything or say anything about what we have read?
No, I mean, it is really interesting, the point around whether the pet
Yes.
would stay with us if they had a choice.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
and I'm just wondering, Meenakshi, please can you come in and talk to us? What do you think? She's into cats. What does she
Okay.
think?
Kshitij, do you want to ask something?
No, he doesn't. Just
He
unmute
doesn't, he said.
Meenakshi. Let's
Yeah.
see what Meenakshi has to say. And anybody else who has pets, what is their view? The pets had a choice. Would they stay or would they go?
No answers. Okay, there is yes, sir.
Ifra, yes. They would go, or yeah, I don't know what yes means.
Would you like
maybe
to
want
say something, Ifra? Okay, there's Ifra is
Ifra
saying,
has
I have
rabbits.
rabbits. Okay.
Right.
So,
And
Ifra, do you think your rabbits would stay with you or go if they had a choice, if you let them away? Okay, Anjali Vimukti wants to say something.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead. Yes, Anjali.
Ma'am, I have rabbits.
You have rabbits, okay. So the question is, do you think the rabbits will stay with you happily even if you let them out of their cage? Or if they get a chance, will they run away?
Ma'am, run away.
They will run away?
away.
Okay, all right.
What does Ifra think? Ifra also has rabbits. Put it in chat if you like, Ifra.
Yeah.
Where's Meenakshi, ma'am? What does she think?
Today, Meenakshi ma'am, I couldn't see her name in the list here.
She was there, perhaps she left.
She may have left. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, someone is saying something. Who's that? Is that?
And ma'am,
Yeah. Yes, Anjali.
and ma'am, these are so cute and soft.
The rabbits are very cute and soft. Okay. Okay. Yes, they are. They are. If
So
Ifra
Ifra says,
stay with me. Okay. Why do you think so, Ifra? You want to come in and speak? She's very confident that they will not leave her and go. Okay. But children, we have a lot of stories of pets who are very loyal to their masters and they protect their masters, particularly of dogs and cats. We do have a lot of stories like that. And also, there are a lot of stories of what the author talks about, pets of different species, intermingling and staying together and looking after each other. Yes, you can unmute yourself.
Aman, do you want to say something? Sandeep Latara?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to say that if any type of animals, if we provide them any type of hospitality, even but I don't think so. Animal love to stay in a cage. Animal love to stay
Yes.
in a cage with us. They want to be free, so they of course they ran away.
All right. Okay. They
So
don't like to stay in
do
the
you have a
cage.
pet, Aradhya?
Yes, sir. I have
Okay.
cow at home.
You have a
Okay.
cow at home.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. All
So,
right. So,
Manisha, can you just unmute Ifra, please? So, you talked of loyalty, Brinda. I remember reading in the paper some time back of how a dog fought with a tiger to
huh.
protect his master and died actually.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So there are many instances of this kind. And there are so many famous stories of certain pets. You have the story of Rikki Tikki Tavi and other animals like this, which have been, given as examples of how pets can be extremely loving and extremely loyal to their masters and how they make their master's life easy. And even in real life, we have seen dogs, bringing milk and bread and newspaper and stuff like that from shops for their masters. So sometimes they do those kind of things. And yes, so it's a very interesting thing to study, actually, human behavior versus animal behavior and the coexistence of humans and animals. So a lot of animals. I remember my grandmother. We had a cow in my grandmother's house in the village, and my grandmother would talk to the cow, and she had so many things to tell the cow. And I think the cow was one of the most patient listeners. So that was good. That kind of a thing you keep
Am I
finding in.
audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ifra, go ahead.
I think my rabbits will like to stay with me because they can move freely at my terrace, and I also have a little garden for them.
Oh, okay. That's nice. That's nice. That's a very good answer,
So
Ifra.
they are connected with nature also.
Right, right. Good, 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 good.
And ma'am, when I go to meet them, they move around me and run.
Yes, that's what the author was also saying. Sometimes they greet their masters, and he is being so practical. He says if it is food time and they see the master coming with food, then they are more excited
They
because
get
they're
tired.
hungry. They can see that the master is bringing food for them. But there are a lot of dogs and cats which greet their masters as soon as they see them coming home. If they've left them and gone out to work, I've seen a lot of dogs get very excited and they get very offended if they are not petted by their masters, when they come back. And I've also seen a lot of my friends are pet owners. I've seen pets getting jealous of little children if the children are given more importance than they are, if the dog has been around. But on the other hand, we have also seen dogs welcoming little children into the family and taking care of them, like being a guardian to these children also. So there are pros and cons to this kind of a situation, and it's very interesting. So, children, maybe you should try and read up some more about these animals and animal stories. So, you will have a very clear idea of what the author here is trying to tell us about the inner life of these animals and the way their mind works. It would be interesting to listen to some of you. And if you can, in your reflections, if you can put this together about fear and about certain pets that you have observed and some behavior which kind of resonates with what is being mentioned in this chapter, it would be very nice. We would love to read what you're writing and telling us.
I just want to say that yes, Arathya has put up everything together very nicely as a reflection, and it is all there on our website. So I request everyone to read the reflection. So go through the reflection yourself. And we have already exceeded around 10 minutes. So one last question from you all can write your questions in the chat box so that ma'am can answer that instead of like saying. So do you wish to take one last question or should we end?
I think we should
can take a question and then
we'll just take one last question and then we can finish.
One last question. Many of you are unmuted. Those who have raised your hand. So one last question. Yes, Aman? Now, Aman, you're allowed to talk. You can unmute yourself. They're just raising hand and not talking. Maybe some hiccups are there. So thank you so much for attending the session. See you next time. And as Aradhya is bringing all the reflection of his classmates and the friends together, I would request one of you to take that and do it and send it back to me. Thank you so much for joining. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Hind, ma'am.